Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the program, Listening to God Daily through His Word, where we take a portion of Scripture and read it out loud and make application. Today's portion is Genesis chapter 33. The whole thing is 20 verses, not too long, because this is the culmination of Jacob's and Esau's battle, where Jacob ran away when he stole Esau's blessing. Isaac could have rescinded that, but he didn't, because he realized that Jacob was the one that God wanted to send his blessing through. So Esau was never going to get the blessing. Esau was very angry. So Jacob ran, ostensibly to get a wife. Rebekah told Isaac, let's send him to Laban so he can get a wife. And he did. And he spent 20 years in Pandamaran with his uncle Laban. So here we are in chapter 33 and they're getting ready to meet. Pay attention to the meeting and how it went. It's really interesting. Chapter 33, verse 1. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto the two handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost, were last of all. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times, until he came near his brother. And Esau ran to meet him, and embraced him, and fell on his neck, and kissed him. And they wept. And he lifted up his eyes, and saw the women and the children, and said, Who are these with thee? He said, The children whom God hath graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaids came near, and they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near, and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near, and Rachel. They bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough. My brother, keep what thou hast unto thyself. But Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, My Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children are able to endure, until I come unto my Lord and the seer. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him a house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan. And when he came from Padamaram, he pitched his tent before the city. And he bought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar and called it El Ohi Israel. So what's going on here? Well, after all this time, who knows what Jacob was thinking? God told Jacob to go back to the land of his father, and he set before him gifts for his brother who wanted to kill him. And then he sent his handmaids with their children. Well, he went first, but he lined them up with his handmaids first, and then Leah, and then Rachel. So in case there was something going on, the people in the back of the line could scoot really quick. And then it says here in verse 4 that he fell. Well, no, not verse 4, where he bowed to the ground. Oh yeah, verse 3. He bowed to the ground 7 times until he came near his brother. And then they fell on each other's necks and wept. So it would look like Jacob's gift worked. And then Jacob introduced him to his wives and his children. And Esau said, Why did I see all these animals come, these droves? And Jacob said, They're for you, that I might find grace. Jacob humbled himself in front of his brother, and everybody else for that matter. And Esau said, Well, come on, we'll go, and we'll have a party when we get back to the house. And Jacob said, Let me stay with the flocks. Let me stay with the children. They have to go slow. And he said, Well, let me leave my men here. Esau said, Let me leave my men here. Verse 15. I'll protect you, perhaps. And Esau said, No, it's okay. You go ahead and take your men with you. I don't think Jacob wanted Esau's men to hang around. I don't think he wanted really to have a whole lot to do with him. In the next section, we find out he didn't go to Seir. He went to Succoth and built a house. He came to Shalem. He went to Shechem. and he built an altar. So I want to go all the way back to his vow when he said, if you feed me, if you take care of me, and you bring me back to my father's house, then you will be my God. And he calls the altar El Elohi Israel. He gave the altar, and it says, you are the God of Israel. You are my God, the God of my God. You're it. There's no other God but you, and of also my descendants. Jacob separated himself from the rest of the world by declaring God his God, his provider. So he professed his faith to God, and it would continue for the rest of his life. So all of this happened over a period of time. Not everything in our faith happens quick. Our faith grows over time. We have to be patient. And then we have to look to God to see what he's doing. We have to look in our lives and see how he's working. Moses was 80 when God called him. Abraham was old before he had Isaac. God, Joseph, I just finished reading the story of Joseph in Genesis. Joseph didn't happen quick. His brothers sold him as a slave, and he went through trials and tribulations to get to be the second in command in Egypt. It was not fast. Don't be impatient. But in the meantime, trust God to work out his will. Trust God to be with you. Trust God to get you to that point where you can be the maximum use to him. Jacob will now be a maximum use to God, just like Moses, just like Joseph, just like we can, because God is long-term planning. All right, guys, this is a terrific ending of a great story. Nothing brutal and bloody, but rather peace and humility. We should do that kind of thing in our life. But God works all our whole life. Be patient. And who knows, when you get to be my age, he may still use you for something. I'm hoping he can use me for something when I'm 90, because that means I'll still be around. All right, guys, I hope this was a help and a blessing. Until next time, keep listening to God. Thanks for watching.